United States has pledged an unprecedented level of defense funding to the Philippines. The U.S. Secretary of State and Defense Secretary in Manila reiterating support for its Asia-Pacific allies in the face of China's growing influence in the region.
Earlier this month, a military cargo flight to the Philippines attracted little public attention.
I think this is another way of U.S. giving this kind of confidence to its Southeast Asian allies and friends.
At first glance, it looked like a routine delivery. But according to defense reporting, the shipment reportedly included 864 RPG-7 rounds and 10 bomb warheads, and has been linked to an $80 million U.S. foreign military financing assistance package supporting the armed forces of the Philippines.
It's also important to be here, and so we're glad to be with you here today and to reaffirm that relationship and our commitment to the U.S. Philippines relationship.
On its own, that may not sound like a major military development. There were no fighter jets, no warships, and no headline-grabbing missile systems. Yet military planners often judge a shipment not by how dramatic it looks, but by what it enables. Ammunition rarely makes international headlines, but without it, even the most advanced weapons cannot be sustained in training or combat. That is why this delivery deserves a closer look. The real story isn't simply what was inside the cargo aircraft. It's what this shipment may reveal about the rapidly evolving U.S. Philippines defense partnership. As Manila accelerates its military modernization and tensions continue in the South China Sea, Washington has steadily expanded security cooperation through larger joint military exercises, broader access under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, and continued defense assistance. So why was this shipment delivered by air instead of by sea? Why is U.S. military assistance to the Philippines expanding now? And could this relatively modest cargo delivery signal a broader strategic shift unfolding across the Indo-Pacific? In this video, we'll examine what was reportedly delivered, why the method of delivery matters, how it fits into the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines, and what it may reveal about the future of one of America's most important security partnerships in Asia. So, what exactly arrived in the Philippines? According to defense reporting, the latest military airlift reportedly delivered 864 rounds for the RPG-7 rocket-propelled grenade launcher and 10 bomb warheads to the armed forces of the Philippines. The shipment has been linked to an $80 million U.S. foreign military financing FMF assistance package intended to strengthen the Philippines' defense capabilities. Although U.S. and Philippine authorities have not publicly released a detailed inventory of the shipment, the reported delivery aligns with Washington's broader security assistance efforts for Manila. At first glance, the shipment may appear modest compared with a new frigate, fighter aircraft, or missile system. But modern militaries don't rely on major platforms alone. They also depend on a steady supply of ammunition, spare parts, fuel, and other logistical support. Even the most advanced weapons become far less effective if they cannot be sustained during training or operations. That helps explain why this shipment matters. Military planners have long understood that combat effectiveness depends not only on acquiring sophisticated weapons, but also on keeping them supplied and operational. Ammunition and sustainment are essential to maintaining military readiness. So, if this delivery was primarily about strengthening readiness, why was it flown into the Philippines instead of being transported by sea? One question immediately stands out. If this shipment mainly consisted of ammunition, why fly it into the Philippines instead of sending it by cargo ship? The answer is simple: speed and readiness. Sea transport is far cheaper and can carry much larger cargo loads, but it also takes considerably longer. Strategic airlift, by contrast, allows personnel, ammunition, and critical military supplies to be delivered within hours or days instead of weeks. That ability to move forces rapidly is a cornerstone of U.S. military operations around the world. We've already seen this capability in action during Exercise Balikatan 2026. U.S. Air Force C-130J Super Hercules aircraft from the 317th Airlift Wing transported troops. Equipment. and even HIMARS rocket launchers to locations including Clark Air Base, Lawag, and the remote island of Itbayat. The exercise demonstrated how quickly Allied forces could reinforce different parts of the Philippine archipelago when required. That helps explain why this latest shipment matters. The ammunition itself is important, but the method of delivery is equally significant. Every successful airlift strengthens the ability of both militaries to move personnel and supplies rapidly during exercises, humanitarian missions, or potential crises. It's also important not to overstate the message. Neither Washington nor Manila has described this flight as a response to any specific event. Officially, it forms part of routine defense cooperation between two treaty allies. Even so, the ability to reinforce the Philippines quickly is itself a strategic capability. In today's security environment, the speed at which allies can deliver supplies can be just as important as the supplies themselves. At this point, you might be wondering, what exactly is foreign military financing, or FMF? Despite the name, FMF isn't simply a cash payment handed over to another government. Managed by the U.S. Department of State, FMF is a security assistance program that helps partner nations acquire approved defense equipment, military services, training, and logistical support. The funding is tied to defense needs, ensuring it strengthens military capabilities rather than being used for unrelated government spending. But for Washington, FMF serves a broader purpose than supplying weapons. It helps allies build stronger, more self-reliant armed forces that can train, operate, and respond alongside U.S. forces during regional crises. In other words, FMF is designed to strengthen long-term defense partnerships, not just provide one-time military aid. That makes the Philippines an especially important partner. As a U.S. treaty ally located along the first island chain and close to key maritime routes, the Philippines has become central to Washington's Indo-Pacific strategy. In recent years, U.S. security assistance has expanded alongside larger Balikatan exercises, enhanced cooperation under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, and the armed forces of the Philippines shift toward territorial and external defense.
It takes a lot of work and coordination and synchronization, and the focus should not be on what you saw, but on the synchronization that was required to execute this, which is incredibly important and incredibly dangerous.
The Congressional Research Service notes that U.S. assistance increasingly focuses on maritime security, defense modernization, and alliance interoperability. Viewed in that context, this latest FMF-supported shipment is more than a routine delivery of ammunition. It is another step in a long-term effort to build a stronger, more capable Philippine military while deepening one of America's oldest security alliances in Asia. And that raises an even bigger question. Why is Washington expanding this support now? That brings us to perhaps the most important question. Why is the United States increasing military assistance to the Philippines now? The short answer is that the regional security environment has changed dramatically over the past few years. The Philippines today faces a far more challenging security landscape than it did a decade ago. Confrontations between Philippine and Chinese vessels in the South China Sea have become more frequent and more intense. What were once occasional diplomatic disputes have increasingly evolved into regular encounters involving Coast Guard ships, maritime militia vessels, and naval assets around contested features such as Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal. Reuters and the Associated Press have documented repeated incidents involving water cannons, dangerous maneuvering, and collisions during Philippine resupply and patrol missions. These confrontations have raised concerns not only in Manila, but also among its treaty allies. At the same time, the armed forces of the Philippines are undergoing one of the most significant transformations in their modern history. After decades focused primarily on counterinsurgency and internal security, the AFP is shifting toward territorial and external defense, requiring new capabilities, stronger logistics, and closer cooperation with allies. That shift has naturally strengthened the U.S. Philippines alliance. In recent years, both countries have expanded Balikatan exercises, increased cooperation under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, strengthened intelligence sharing, and accelerated joint training focused on maritime security and rapid deployment. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command continues to describe the alliance as a cornerstone of regional security. That broader context helps explain the timing of this latest airlift. Neither Washington nor Manila has described the shipment as a direct response to any single confrontation. Officially, it forms part of a broader effort to strengthen the alliance and improve the Philippines' defense capabilities. But strategic timing matters. When military assistance expands alongside larger exercises, new access agreements, and a more contested maritime environment, it reflects a long-term effort to strengthen deterrence and improve readiness before, not during, a crisis. That is why this shipment matters. It is best understood not as an isolated delivery of ammunition, but as another step in the steady evolution of the U.S. Philippines defense partnership. And to understand where that partnership is headed, we also need to look at how these deliveries support the AFP's long-term modernization program. This latest airlift is just one piece of a much larger effort to modernize the armed forces of the Philippines. Under its Ray Horizon modernization program, the AFP is shifting away from decades of focusing mainly on counterinsurgency and internal security. The new priority is territorial and external defense, protecting the country's maritime domain, airspace, and sovereign territory. That means investing not only in new ships, aircraft, and missile systems, but also in the logistics needed to keep them operational. Department of National Defense, that's where this shipment fits in. Modern weapons are only effective if they can be sustained. Ammunition, spare parts, fuel, maintenance, and secure supply chains are what allow military units to remain combat-ready during prolonged operations. In recent years, the Philippines has acquired capabilities such as BrahMos coastal defense missiles, FA-50 light combat aircraft, and Jose Rizal-class frigates. But building a credible defense force isn't just about buying advanced platforms, it's about ensuring they can be supported when they're needed most. This latest U.S.-supported ammunition delivery contributes to that broader objective. While it doesn't transform the AFP overnight, it helps strengthen one of the most overlooked aspects of military readiness: sustainment. As military planners often point out, battles are won not only by advanced weapons, but by the ability to keep those weapons supplied and operational. So, is this latest U.S. military assistance really about China? Officially, no. Strategically, it's impossible to ignore the context. Neither Washington nor Manila has said that this airlift was a direct response to China. The shipment is part of an ongoing security assistance program that supports the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines. At the same time, some analysts caution that expanding U.S. Philippines military cooperation could contribute to higher regional tensions, while Beijing has repeatedly criticized deeper defense ties between the two allies as destabilizing. Others argue that a stronger and better equipped Philippine military enhances deterrence, reducing the likelihood of coercion or miscalculation by making the costs of aggression clearer. However, the timing comes as tensions in the South China Sea remain elevated. China has continued what many analysts describe as gray zone actions that stop short of open conflict but are intended to increase pressure. These include Coast Guard patrols, maritime militia deployments, water cannon incidents, and close maneuvers around disputed features. The U.S. Department of Defense's annual China Military Power Report and CSIS's Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative both describe these activities as part of a broader strategy to strengthen Beijing's presence and influence in contested waters. That is where deterrence comes in. The goal of deterrence is not to prepare for war, it's to make conflict less likely by convincing potential adversaries that coercion will not succeed. Stronger logistics, better trained forces, and reliable ammunition supplies all contribute to that objective. So, while this shipment wasn't aimed at any single country, it does strengthen the Philippines' ability to respond to a more challenging security environment. And in today's Indo-Pacific, that inevitably has implications for the balance of power in the South China Sea. To fully understand this airlift, you have to look beyond the shipment itself. It is part of America's broader Indo-Pacific strategy. The Philippines occupies a critical position along the first island chain, a series of islands stretching from Japan through Taiwan and the Philippines towards Southeast Asia. This geography makes the country strategically important for maintaining access, supporting allies, and responding quickly to regional crises. That is one reason the U.S. and the Philippines have expanded defense cooperation in recent years. Under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, U.S. forces can rotate through agreed Philippine military facilities, pre-position equipment, and conduct joint training. This does not establish permanent U.S. bases, but it does allow both militaries to respond more rapidly during emergencies or major exercises. One of the best examples is Exercise Balikatan, now one of the largest military exercises in the Indo-Pacific. Every year, thousands of American and Filipino troops train together in air, land, maritime, and logistics operations, improving interoperability and readiness. All of this supports what the U.S. Department of Defense calls integrated deterrence, combining military capability, alliances, logistics, and diplomacy to discourage conflict before it starts. Viewed in that context, this recent ammunition airlift is more than a routine delivery. It is another building block in a long-term strategy aimed at strengthening the U.S. Philippines alliance and maintaining stability across the Indo-Pacific. So, what comes after this ammunition shipment? While no new assistance package has been officially announced, recent developments offer some clues. Rather than focusing only on major weapons platforms, future U.S. support is likely to expand the Philippines' enabling capabilities, the systems that make a modern military more effective. That could include enhanced intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, greater use of uncrewed aerial systems, more resilient communications networks, improved logistics and ammunition sustainment, and stronger maritime domain awareness through radar, sensors, and real-time information sharing. These capabilities don't always attract headlines, but they help armed forces detect threats earlier, coordinate operations more effectively, and respond faster during a crisis. Of course, the exact direction of future assistance will depend on decisions made in both Washington and Manila, as well as the evolving regional security environment. But one trend is already clear. The U.S. Philippines alliance is increasingly focused not just on acquiring new weapons, but on building a military that is better connected, better informed, and better prepared for the challenges of the Indo-Pacific. So, let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. Why does a single U.S. ammunition airlift to the Philippines matter? Because the real story was never the cargo itself. It was what that cargo represents. This shipment is another sign of a U.S.-Philippines alliance that is becoming deeper, faster, and more strategically focused. Today's partnership is no longer defined only by major weapons sales, but also by the ability to move supplies quickly, sustain military operations, and respond together when challenges arise. As tensions continue in the South China Sea, those capabilities may prove just as important as new warships, missile systems, or fighter aircraft. Whether this airlift is remembered as a routine delivery or an early indicator of a larger strategic shift will depend on how the Indo-Pacific security environment evolves in the years ahead. But one thing is already clear. The U.S. and the Philippines are building an alliance designed not just for today's challenges, but for tomorrow's. And in an increasingly uncertain Indo-Pacific, the ability to prepare may be the strongest deterrent of all.